This is the console application exercise in Java. I have the project open here in Visual Studio Code along with the README file. It is still building, so I'll give that a moment. We'll talk through what's going on with the README. I always recommend disabling null annotation types. That's up to you. We want to create and run a console application from the command line. Now, it's not going to be completely from the command line, largely because in Java, command line applications are basically just Java apps. So you just run Java with the jar file, and that'll run it as a command line app. So it's not exactly the same as running an exe command line in the other languages, but we'll get close on this. So our use case, we need to prompt the user to enter some input into the screen. So we'll display a message to the user. Once they hit that and hit the enter key, we're going to display the reverse of that text back to the user, and then we'll wait for the user to hit enter before we close the application. We'll start with our tests as we typically do. There is an example in the example folder in the Mirror Console folder, so take a look at that if you get stuck. And then finally, Objective-2 will run this as a console application. So I've got everything going here. Let's go ahead and run our test. We should get a failure. And we do. Let's make sure it's the right failure. And it is. Perfect. So we get an unsupported operation exception. So let's take a look at the test really fast, see what's happening here. So we're creating a user interface object that is an AI user interface. So think of it as an automated test. It's an automated user that will automate the typing of the content and reading of the content back and forth. Since we're in a test context that's automated, we don't have the actual user that's going to type something. So we're going to use this AI user interface to represent an automated user. We're then going to call set text to type when prompted. So we're going to say, hey, when you're prompted, here's the text I want you to type, and it's the word testing. We're going to create our mirror application given the user interface, and we're going to call run, which is the main method under test. Finally, we'll get the lines that were displayed to the user, and we'll make sure that the lines match these three lines below. Enter the text reverse, the word testing in reverse, and press enter to close the application. So we do have a failure. Let's go ahead and go to definition on the run method, and we can see here are our exceptions. So let's get rid of these really fast because we know we're not going to want those. What we need to do is our run method is going to implement our use case here. So our use case code is all going to be implemented in this one run method, the method under test. And we need to basically write and read from the user interface rather than from the console directly. So the user interface, what we're going to do is we need to use this to write out to the screen and read from the screen. So in order to do that, we're going to need to hold on to the user interface into a field. So we'll say this underscore user interface equals user interface. Now we need to create a field in this class so that we have that available in the method below. Private final string, not string, user interface underscore user interface. So there's our field. We're now ready to use this in the run method. So now we can say user interface, and let's go back and look. We're going to first prompt the user to enter input into the screen. So we're going to tell them, hey, type something. So let's do that. We'll say write line, type something. Then we want to wait for them to hit enter and then read that content back. So we'll say this, actually we'll say string text equals this underscore user interface dot read line from the user. That'll give us back the text that we want. Now that we have that, we need to reverse that string. So in Java, the easiest way to do that is through a string builder. So we'll say string reversed text equals text dot, new string builder. Give it text dot reverse dot toString. So there's our one-liner for reversing text in Java. And then we want to display that back to the user. Now we already have a method to display. It's the writeLine method, so we're going to use that again. So this underscore user interface, because writeLine is on the user interface, dot writeLine. And now we want to type reverse text. And then finally, we're going to wait for the user to hit enter, and then we'll close. So we're going to tell them, hey, press enter when you're done. We'll wait for them to hit enter. So again, we'll do another writeLine, press enter when done. And then finally, read line one more time. We're not going to hold on to the return value. We just want the enter to happen. So we're going to read line waits for enter and then gives us something. We're just going to ignore what they give us back. So this is our policy. Basically, the use case is implemented as code in this one method. And that's really nice. That's a really nice way to approach this. You should have one place when you're looking at a use case. There should be one place, usually one method, sometimes one class, that implements that use case in one single place. So it's very easy to see, okay, here's the requirements. Here's the code that actually implements those requirements. Now what we need to do is we need to implement these methods on the interface. So this is going to help us out. It's going to say, hey, do you want me to create a method on the user interface? So I select it, I hit control period. You can also right click or hover over and say quick fix. I'm going to do control period. And you can use the mouse. I'm going to use the keyboard up and down arrows, and I just want the create method and hit enter. It's going to generate the method for me. Let's do the same thing on read line, control period, and then enter. Now it created those methods. So I'm going to go to definition on those. We can see the methods that it created. These are largely good, except that the write line, I don't like the variable name string. Let's call it something else. It could be text, it could be message, it could be contents, it could be all sorts of things. I'm just going to say text. So we're going to write this text. So that takes care of our user interface. Now, we're not done yet. We have 4 errors. We can see these down here. We've got 2 classes that implement the user interface. And we need to basically fulfill those promises. So the user interface has these methods that we have to implement. So let's go to the AI user interface first. So we'll control period, add the unimplemented methods. There they are. So we've got read line, we've got write line. I'm going to alphabetize these because that's what I do. So looking at these, get lines display to user and write line go together. So when we say write line, we're going to add that to the lines we want to display to the user. So let's create that so that we can return these out later. So we'll create a field that is private. This will be an array list. I'm sorry, this will be a list of string. And we'll call this output lines. You can call it anything you want. I'm just going to call it output lines. We'll say this is a new array list. Make sure to add our import for java.util. Now that we have that, we can do a couple things. The first that we can do on write line is we're going to add to that list. So this underscore output lines add text. So we'll simply add to that list. Then on get lines displayed, we need to return this, but as a string array. So we'll say return this output lines stream map. I may be able to just do 2 array. Yeah, I can just do 2 array. I can't do just 2 array. Now, keep a string. We want string. I think I just need to cast this out as a string array. We'll try this and see. Java's got a lot of syntax. Sometimes I don't remember it all. I may not need the map. Let me see if I can just get rid of the map and call 2 array. All right, let's see if that works. But effectively, we just need to convert the list to an array. The read line and the set text to type when prompted are also going to go together. So whatever we said we wanted to type, that's what we're going to return in read line. So let's say private string text to type when prompted. It's going to default to null. So on the set, we're just going to set that. So this text to type equals text. And then on read line, we're just going to return that. So that takes care of all of that. We'll run the test and make sure that this line in particular is working. Console user interface also needs to be implemented. Now we're going to come back to this in a moment. We're not ready to address this quite yet. So now that we've got this working, we can at least run the test and see if we've made progress. So let's run real fast. I'll get a failure for sure. I just want to see if it's the failure I'm expecting or if it's a different failure. All right, so we do have a failure. Yeah, so it is saying a cast. We have a cast problem where object cannot be cast to object and string, so I may need the map after all. Let's try adding the map, see if that works. And if this doesn't work, we're going to go to the internet. All right, we're going to go to the internet. So let me open up a new browser window here. We'll say Java convert list of string to string array. To array given new string. All right, it's a little easier than I thought it was going to be. So list to array, and we'll say new string array of 0. Now let's run this. Perfect, so we're getting the error I was expecting. We got past that error. So what is happening now is this text here, enter the text reverse, is not what we coded. So let me go back to the mirror application. We said type something. So I just need these to match. So I'm just going to copy and paste. I'm going to do the same thing for the last line as well. Go ahead and change this last line here. Save that off. Let's rerun our test. And now we have a pass. So that completes the first part of this. Now the second part is we want to be able to run this as a console application. So let me go back to the file list, and if I open up app.java, this is the main entry point. We can see that it's running the application, but it's using the console user interface. So this isn't going to work right now. I can hit this run link right here, and we'll see that it is erroring out. And basically, we've got a problem with the write line and the read line methods. So let me go back to the console user interface. We need to implement these methods. So write line is the easier one. So let's go ahead and do that one. All we're going to do is go to the system.out and then just print line. So that one's easy. Now the read line in Java is a little more tricky. So there's a few different ways to do this. What I'd recommend is try a few. So let's go back to our internet and we'll say Java read line from console. I'm going to wait for Copilot to come back. Usually this will give us 2 or 3 or 4 options. Perfect. So the first is you can use the scanner class. So that's option 1. The second option is use the buffered reader class. The third option is use system.console, and system.console has a read line. So those are the 3 options it gave me. I recommend all 3 of these. Scanner is probably the one that most people are going to recommend. For simplicity, I'm just going to use console. I'm going to use the java.io.console. So I'm going to copy this code real fast. We're not going to use most of this. We're going to gut most of it. But let me copy this code. We'll go back in, paste it in, and we'll say, okay, we've got a system.console. If console is not null, so let's not even worry about the else. Let's just assume that it's available. So we'll get rid of the if, unindent. System.out.print. Input is read line, so we don't need the print and we don't need the print line. All we want is the read line, and we're going to return that. So I could return input. This basically takes care of everything I need to do. Now I can get rid of this input. We don't need this. So let me inline that. And now similarly on console, I can inline that as well. So I'll just say system.console.readline, and now I've got a one-liner that basically reads through everything I need to get from the contents. So let's test this and see if it works. Let me head back to app.java. We will run this. Enter the text reverse. This is Chad's awesome test. There's the reverse. Press enter to close, and we're done. That concludes the console application in Java exercise.